Springs Culture Cast is brought to you by the Smokebrush Foundation for the Arts, by UCCS TheaterWorks production of Zorro, by Newspeak, by a generous grant from the B. Vradenberg Foundation, and by viewers like you. Thanks for your support. Check us out on Pikes Peak Library District, Channel 17, every night at 6 o'clock, and on KRCC 91.5 FM, Monday through Friday at 11:55 a.m. and 8 o'clock p.m. Hi, this is Craig Richardson with Springs Culture Cast. We're at the Osborne Studio Theater on the campus of the University of Colorado at Colorado Springs to look at a dress rehearsal for Theater to Art's new show, Shopping and Fucking. So how long have you been working with these Theater to Art folks, and how did you get involved in the fold?
Well, it was about 3 years ago. I showed up and pretended to know what I was doing, and they put me on stage manager duty. I also designed their first light plot, and I've been here ever since, and now I'm directing. And this is the actual second show that I've directed for Theater to Art.
What are some of the challenges of directing this particular show?
All right, well, most of the challenge comes from the fact that there is a rim job and there are anal sex scenes, and yet those are not the main gem within the script. So the biggest issue for me is to try to pull out the humor and the other aspects of it to make it to make those less important. I don't want the audience to leave thinking, okay, well, you know, I saw all this gratuitous sex and violence. That's not the main thing. So bringing out the other stuff is what's been the biggest challenge.
And why should somebody come and see this? You know, if they're not tremendously familiar or familiar at all with Theater to Art or kind of fringe theater or more avant-garde theater, why should they come out and see this?
There is no other place in Colorado Springs that you can see this kind of theater. We're able to do a lot of stuff in here because it's a smaller venue, and we don't have to ask anyone if we don't have to have the script approved or anything like that. So I think those people who are used to seeing shows that don't bring out any emotion in them, when they leave and they're like, oh, well, that was a good show, and that's all they can say about it, they should come and experience this, because it's not just watching, it's experiencing. Shopping and fucking has become a transaction in our daily lives, and how we need to internalize it and think about how we live our lives and question whether or not relationships, if we're scared of relationships, committing to other people. In reading a bunch of scripts, this one drew me to it because, not necessarily because of the whole fucking aspect of it, but because it puts up a mirror to our society and makes everyone in the audience a little uncomfortable, because the people that they see up here are not them, but their stories are very similar.
Look, for once in your life, you have a choice. You have a choice, so for fuck's sake, make the most of it.
And then they fired you.
No, and then he gets the fork. He jumps over the counter, and he just comes after me.
With the fork?
Yeah, with the fork. He just jumps over the counter, comes after me, and just stabs me.
He stabbed you?
Yes.
How does this experience, this shopping and fucking play, differ from other things that you've done, especially more of the mainstream things that you've done?
Holy shit, how doesn't it differ? You know, I have to kiss one of my good friends. Never had to do that before. There's a certain amount of emotional intensity that goes into a show like this that you don't get necessarily in other shows. I mean, you know, I have to pretend to be a whole bunch of things that I'm not, and make it convincing. You know, I have to pretend to be a prostitute. I have to pretend to be gay. I have to pretend that that I'm 16. You know, I have to pretend all these different things that are completely not what I am, and make it believable. And you know, there's a whole lot of physical things that go into it. You know, I have to. I don't know what it feels like to have butt sex, but I got to make it look like I'm used to it, you know. Like, there's so many things that are just challenging about this play in comparison to the other shows I've done. It's hard and it's draining. Every role brings something that you learn And certain roles are judged against other roles. I mean, I've appeared naked on stage, and this is definitely more than that. That's something I judge it by, but at the same time, you can't compare this to like a comedic role. You can't judge some role that you get where you have to be funny to this in comparison to this. You can't play it that way because then that's how you find yourself looking at things like how can I top myself rather than can I make this better? Can I participate in this and play my role and do my thing?
What do you think an audience will get from this play?
In general, I mean, obviously they're going to walk out of this theater with something to talk about. No matter what it is that they have to talk about, they have something to talk about. Whether they're offended by the sexuality or the vulgarity of it, okay, or if they catch what the play is actually meaning to say, good. But no matter what, people are going to walk out of here feeling something, having experienced something. I've seen shows upstairs, and not to knock the theater works folk, but they do safe shows. They do shows, and I overheard TK saying this earlier that people in this town in general do shows where you walk out and you say, oh, that was good, or oh, I didn't like this, and they nitpick at the acting, and oh, this was funny, but you don't really walk out of the theater feeling like you experienced something, feeling like you just shared something with the people around you, and you don't feel any vulnerability at all from a lot of the shows that are done in town, and we get a chance to do that. We get a chance to really make people think and make people talk, hopefully, and affect people. And I mean, that's what, if not student theater, but theater in general is about, is getting to people and making them think about stuff and challenging their perceptions of the way that they live. Because that's what this show is a lot about. It's not about the characters themselves, it's about the people who are watching it.
Springs Culture Cast is a sponsored project of Fractured Atlas, a nonprofit arts service organization. Contributions in behalf of Springs Culture Cast may be made payable to Fractured Atlas and are tax-deductible to the extent permitted by law. Please visit springsculturecast.com to find out how you can make a quick and easy donation that will help keep this program on the air.